To this now, the 58-hour Johannesburg water shutdown has begun as Rand Water embarks on major repairs and maintenance. People have been buying bottled water in bulk, mainly because of the uncertainty of the impact. Johannesburg Water says it's sending tankers to places like hospitals, clinics, municipal offices, schools and even police stations this week. Well, let's get an update now from Manqoba Mchunu in terms of how it's looking on the ground. Manqoba, any panic buying that you have witnessed today?
Well, not today, Masiko. In fact, I think we saw just one or two people that, had been buying water from some of the shops here, but not quite the scenes that I think we saw yesterday when my colleague Aviwe Mtila was on the ground covering some of the residents who had been hit by that moment of panic. I think many of the residents are seemingly, well aware of the shutdown and they've prepared themselves. I spoke to some of the residents in some of the areas that we've been to earlier on in Vlierhof, who were saying that they had water, they'd filled up their buckets, they'd filled up their bathtubs to ensure that they are not caught without any water in their houses. So it does seem that the message has reached many of the people, but there are these areas that have been affected, Masiho, mostly areas in high-lying areas. And one of those areas is Northgate, where we understand that there's no water at all in this suburb. And so some of the malls here have been affected, some of the businesses have been badly affected. And one of those is this particular laundry. It's Dirty Laundry, and it runs many of the laundromats here in Johannesburg. And I'm going to speak to Philippe just to understand the impact of all of this. Philippe, thank you for your time, and we really appreciate it. Just speak to us about how this is all affecting you. Understand, as we speak now, there's no water here.
Hi, yeah. We've had no water since 7 o'clock last evening, and clearly it affects us. We've been through all the power outages, load shedding, back to stage 6, so this is really the cherry on top. We cannot do anything. Obviously, a laundry is dependent on two things, water and electricity, and we've got problems with both. That's across many of our stores. One or two have got power and have got water, but some have got neither. And yes, of course, it's affecting us. We carry on. We have to pay rent. We have to pay our staff and so forth. So expenses keep rolling, but income has stopped completely.
So I can see that there's not much activity here at the shop. So how is this affecting business as we speak?
Well, it's dead, as you said. There's not a person here. And if they do come here, we've had to turn them away or send them out to other stores, like out in Blackheath or areas which still have water. But we don't know how long they will have water for, and we don't know when the water will come back here.
I don't see any water tankers here or any, sort of contingency plans in place as far as this is concerned. Are you aware of any? Have you had any communication with the city as to what's happening?
So we had a letter which said that, when the outages would be and that there would be water tankers on this corner and that corner, whatever. We haven't seen a single one or have had any help from COJ on the water front. They did tell us that the water would be out and it might take 14 days to get back, etc., etc. But in a shopping centre like this, you can't make a plan. There's no borehole or, JoJo's or whatever, and you can't run a laundry on a small JoJo anyway.
So in terms of losses, do you foresee that perhaps you would be incurring more losses?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, as I say, you carry on paying expenses, but zero income.
Okay, and then just finally, do you think that there was enough communication? Are people well aware, even in this centre, as far as what is happening is concerned?
I think that the communication, originally this was supposed to be a few weeks back, then they cancelled it, and we did get communication, so that isn't an issue. But as I say, you can't make a plan in a shopping centre, and it said in their communication that they'd be assisting shopping centres and similar, but I don't see anything happening.
Okay. Thank you for speaking to us. That was Philippe Schapper, just giving us a sense of how his business has been affected. And of course, as you hear, Masiho, some of them in some of the areas that have no water have been affected. We understand it's not only this suburb, but there are quite a number of them, including Melville, where we hear also that this particular business has been affected in that area. As you can see, the machines here are just lying idle. There's no operations that are taking place here. and it's going to hit hard on many of the businesses, and they're hoping, of course, that the contingency plans that the city spoke about, as far as JoJo tanks, as far as water tankers, will also be arriving here. Of course, it's still going to take some time. They're not quite certain when exactly the water will be restored to its normal capacity. What Rainwater is saying, though, is that they anticipate that it might be a few hours after Friday, or perhaps even up to 14 days for the system to recover. So many residents are feeling the pinch, but some of them saying that they were well aware of what was happening, and of course they are hoping that the contingency plans are also going to come into place to assist those that are without water.